Hello and welcome. Tonight, President Bola Tinubu reaffirms federal government's commitment to reclaiming ungovernable areas, especially the northwest and across the country. The Nigerian Bar Association Women's Forum seeks the elevation of more female lawyers into the rank of senior advocates of Nigeria. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission begins investigation into the tenure of former senior officials of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited over alleged abuse of office and misappropriation of funds. And Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has been re-elected as Prime Minister in a landslide victory. And on business, OPEC Plus approves another oil output hike for June.
And on sports news tonight, Women's World #1, Aryna Sabalenka clinches her third Madrid Open title with a hard-fought victory over world #4, Coco Gauff, in the final.
President Bola Tinubu has reiterated his administration's commitment to reclaiming ungovernable areas, especially forests in the northwest, through the use of advanced technology to tackle banditry, terrorism, and kidnapping. Speaking at a state dinner held at the Government House, Christina, the president vowed to invest more in technology to address the security challenges facing the country and assured victims of more support to help rebuild their lives. He also said the Katsina airport might be upgraded to create more jobs for the people and expand the economy.
Yes, security is a challenge. It's a challenge for this country right now. I address our men and women of the armed forces at the airport this afternoon, assuring them that we will do everything to fight terrorism and banditry. Yes, we will invest more in technology. We will take over all our forests. We must neutralize kidnapping, banditry, and terrorism. It was never like this before in Nigeria. It's not just a local problem, it is a national problem. We truly need investment to come into this country, not just only this community, where we solve the problem together. It's a promise.
Meanwhile, in the northeast, suspected Boko Haram insurgents have reportedly attacked the 27 Task Force Brigade within Gari in Juba local government area of Yobe State. Residents told Channels Television that the insurgents, who came in the early hours of today, targeted the military base. In the last few weeks, the insurgents had attacked military formations along Goniri Road, as well as abducted individuals along the Damaturu-Biu Road, creating fear in the hearts of surrounding communities. This is happening at a time when the Northeast governors held a meeting to adopt the best approach to tackle the insecurity in the region. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yakubu Dogara, has called on former and current lawmakers to remember their role in nation building. He was speaking at the maiden summit of the Nigerian Former Legislators Forum with the theme Strengthening Democracy and Shaping National Development, held at the International Conference Center, Enugu. According to him, the collective experience of the former legislators must be harnessed as a national asset in the pursuit of sustainable development. The Enugu State Governor, Mr. Peter Mbah, who was a guest at the event, assured the lawmakers of his commitment to partner with them to achieve a more developed nation. The leadership crisis rocking the Rivers State chapter of the All Progressive Congress APC has taken another twist, with two factions interpreting a recent court judgment ruling to their opposing claims to legitimacy. On Friday, the Port Harcourt Division of the Court of Appeal ruled on an appeal filed by the APC's National Executive Committee against a High Court injunction restraining the party from conducting its Congress in Rivers State. It nullified the earlier High Court order and struck out the suit filed by Mr. Peter Ohochukwu on behalf of the dissolved State Working Committee led by Mr. Emeka Bike. In a swift reaction, the faction loyal to Mr. Tony Okocha celebrated the judgment as a victory and validation of his leadership, while the Bike faction dismissed the interpretation of the judgment by the Okocha camp, calling it misleading. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has criticized a group of women who walked out during an empowerment event organized by the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, calling the act disturbing and embarrassing. In a statement released today through his Senior Special Assistant on Public Communication and Social Media, the minister, who is currently on an official engagement in China, expressed disappointment over what he termed a show of shame. The protest occurred on Friday at the EUI Event Center and was reportedly led by women loyal to the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara. Meanwhile, the Rivers State Office of the Renewed Hope Initiative, RHI, has dismissed a statement alleging that Governor Fubara was involved in the disruption of the empowerment program held in Port Harcourt. In a statement signed by the Rivers State Coordinator, Mrs. Tonye Briggs, the office expressed disappointment over what it described as an unjust attempt to link the suspended governor to an incident that occurred during the event, which was part of the National Empowerment Drive led by the First Lady. According to her, the suspended governor, who just returned to the country, had provided full support for the successful hosting of the event, demonstrating his consistent commitment to the objectives of the Renewed Hope Initiative. To other stories now, the chairperson of the Nigerian Bar Association Women's Forum wants to see more female lawyers attain the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. These were her words at the annual conference of female lawyers in Abuja. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, reports that there were also calls for equal representation and gender equality.
Female lawyers across the Federation have converged on Abuja, the nation's capital, for the annual conference of the Nigerian Bar Association Women Forum.
Justice Binta Nyako served as a state.
In attendance are some justices of the Federal High Court, senior advocates of Nigeria, and the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. Leading the conversation, the chairperson of the NBA Women Forum called for equal representation in the profession and more women attaining the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria.
We in the Women Forum have taken this more seriously. We have been clamoring for drastic change in the legal profession, particularly for women attaining the rank of silks. So we need to put more hands on deck to see what we can do to push us further and also have that equal opportunity as men.
The president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Afam Osigwe, and Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court share this school of thought as they believe that the time to act is now for government at all levels to make good its promises and end gender disparity.
We can lament all we can about gender parity, but we must take positive steps to ensure that the gaps between the genders in the profession are bridged, so that women have as strong a voice in the profession as the men, so that they are able to have a place at the table and will contribute in building a strong, vibrant and varied legal profession.
Let us assume that every state says from the 3 senator slots we have, 1 is reserved for women. And you don't have the woman to fill the slot. What do? Will you lose the slot? Or will you still be represented by the man that is not the owner of the slot? So let us be realistic. Let us be fighting for equal playing field for everybody.
At the end of this annual conference, many of these female lawyers are taking away fresh and in-depth knowledge on modalities to hold forth in the legal profession and take the profession a notch higher. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
Same with legal issues, the trial judge in the case of the late Bamishe Anyowola, the 22-year-old murdered by a BRT driver, has asked the government and authorities to make transport services safer for young women and the vulnerable in society. As part of her judgment delivered recently, Justice Serifat Shonaike of the Lagos High Court noted that transport is an essential service, and the case of the convicted driver brings to the fore the need to urgently address this issue of safety. With the attempted rape of the late Bamishe, the rape of another young woman, and the sexual assault of a third, all in the hands of the convicted BRT driver, the judge wondered how many more young women are out there who, for fear of shame or stigmatization, have failed to come forward to report such crimes. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is investigating former senior officials of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, including 2 former chief executives, Mr. Amile Kyari and Mr. Abubakar Yaradua, over alleged abuse of office and misappropriation of funds. The investigation centers around the $2.8 billion allocated for refinery rehabilitation projects in Port Harcourt, Kaduna and Warri, carried out under their tenure. The anti-graft agency has requested documentation related to the ongoing probe, including certified true copies of emoluments and allowances of the 14 individuals involved in the investigation. Some of the key findings include discovery of a large sum of money in the accounts of one of the sacked managing directors, totaling to about 80 billion naira, sparking further investigation and leading to the arrest of the recently sacked managing directors of all 3 refineries. The investigation has raised concerns about the management of the NNPC Limited and the refineries, with some experts questioning the transparency and effectiveness of the company's operations. In part 2, after the break, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project and the Nigerian Guild of Editors asked the federal government to repeal the Cybercrime Act. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu reaffirms federal government's commitment to reclaiming ungovernable areas, especially forests in the northwest and across the country. The Nigerian Bar Association Women's Forum seeks the elevation of more female lawyers into the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission begins investigation into the tenure of former senior officials of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited over alleged abuse of office and misappropriation of funds. An Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has been re-elected as the country's leader in a landslide victory. The federal government has been asked to suspend the implementation of the Cybercrime Act 2015, while the National Assembly reviews all laws restricting media freedom in the country. This was part of a joint resolution reached after a press briefing called by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, and the Nigerian Guild of Editors at the 2025 World Press Freedom Day in Lagos.
It's a room full of intellect and camaraderie defying the odds of the subject matter, which has compelled this year's World Press Freedom Day in Nigeria, aptly themed Unchecked Injustice, how authorities are weaponizing the Cybercrime Act to stifle peaceful dissent and media freedom in Nigeria. This contrasts with a bigger conversation on the global stage, which is reflecting on the impact of artificial intelligence on press freedom.
Thank you. Thank you, Boko.
Setting the tone for the event, SERAP's executive director reminds the media executives and judiciary correspondents present that the work to challenge the repressive Cybercrime Act and secure a review is a collective responsibility.
So perhaps, are we free as the president here, or are we not?
In his keynote address, former managing director of the Guardian newspaper and fellow Guild of the Nigerian Editors pointed out that government officials must remember that good journalism is not public relations.
Public relations goal is to manage reputation and control damage done to reputation, perhaps through good journalism. So they expect us to do public relation. But public relation is not journalism. If we do good journalism, it will damage reputation that public relation experts will be hired to manage.
Then follows the presser, delivered jointly by SERAP's executive director and the president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, who both analyzed the impact of the Cybercrime Act on the media practice and the communique to state actors.
According to the Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development, CGID, Press Tracker, there has been 110 verified attacks in the year 2024. In comparison to the previous year, the press attacks between the first and third quarter of 2024 have surpassed that of 2023 in its entirety. And I'll give some examples. Nuruddin Akeushola, a portal with ICRR, and Mr. Dayaye, the executive director of the ICRR, were reportedly arrested and subjected to continuous questioning for over 9 hours.
We call on the Attorney General to advise President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to promptly obey all outstanding court judgment, including the ECOWAS court judgment directing the federal government to repeal the repressive Cybercrime Act and bring it in conformity with Nigerian international human rights obligation and commitment.
The event is moderated by Channels Television's Bukola Koka, who led a thought-provoking interactive session during which attention was drawn to other dangers in the controversial Cybercrime Act and how it can be challenged.
How should Nigerian government react to what big techs do to our practice? How they have been exploiting Nigeria's media space. But here we are gathered to talk about the threat of the Cybercrime Act and the danger it continues to our practice.
Contrary to what we have been told, that until INEC announces the result of an election, that the media must not publish. But there was a judgment in Second Republic by Justice Candide Johnson, NUJ versus Inspector General of Police and FEDECO, where the court said that once the result had been published at the polling unit, the press has the right to publish. So we need to continue to educate ourselves on some of these things, particularly on all these laws with respect to Cybercrime Act.
Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act criminalizing messages that are sent from a computer that are grossly offensive or menacing, and anyone convicted under this law is liable to a fine of not more than 10 million naira or imprisonment for a term of not more than 3 years.
In response to the growing displacement, food insecurity and violence from the shrinking Lake Chad, 20 young climate activists from Nigeria, Chad, Niger and Cameroon will receive a $2,000 grant each to execute community-driven climate projects. The support comes under a new 2-year Climate Justice Fellowship targeted at empowering young people in one of the most climate-vulnerable regions. At the launch in Abuja, the executive director of the Development of Educational Action Network, Dean Initiative, says the program aims to provide real tools to young people who are already active but under-supported. Our correspondent Benny Ark has this report.
The Dean Initiative has launched the Lake Chad Climate Justice Fellowship in Abuja, gathering climate advocates, development partners, civil society, and the media to kick off a 2-year intervention in the Lake Chad Basin. The program will support 20 youths from Nigeria, Chad, Niger, and Cameroon with $2,000 each to tackle climate issues like displacement, insecurity, and gender-based violence.
The Lake Chad Climate Justice Youth Fellowship, funded by the Climate Justice Resilience Fund and implemented by Dean Initiative, the Development of Educational Action Network, is not just another training or program, but it is a bold and timely effort to ensure that young people in one of the most climate-impacted and political fragile regions, which is the Lake Chad Basin region, are well equipped to lead and respond to building lasting solutions.
And I'm very excited about this fellowship because I see it as an opportunity to have young people who are very vibrant to tell the story the right way, to also empower young people who are affected or who are living in those communities to say the story the way it ought to be told.
One interesting thing about this fellowship, aside the fact that we are bringing young people to tell the story of Africans, it's not limited to a certain region. We're combining everyone involved in the region. So members of the fellowship is not just for Nigeria.
In his address, the executive director emphasized the urgency of the program.
This project, it's a $200,000 project, and the essence is not to create the regular jamboree, but to actually invest directly into the capacity building and resource access of these young people within the Lake Chad region.
With the launch, the organizers are calling on donors, government, and global partners to support and scale up the program to amplify local voices in global climate discussions. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
In a bid to reduce fake and unwholesome products in the country, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has embraced technology to tackle the menace. During a 2-day awareness program within the supply and consumption chain in the Northeast region, NAFDAC unveiled some ample smart tools for wholesalers and consumers to determine the authenticity of products before buying them.
It's a 2-day sensitization workshop organized by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, for suppliers, consumers, and other health practitioners in the 6 states of the Northeast.
Each batch can have multiple.
Integral to its anti-counterfeiting measures, NAFDAC is unveiling 2 user-friendly applications it believes would lead to a more informed consumption of pharmaceutical products and stamp out counterfeit ones.
It's a anti-counterfeiting measures that NAFDAC has explored technology to produce, and we are sensitizing stakeholders, including all the supply chains practitioners, as well as healthcare providers, on how to use it for us to remove counterfeit products along the supply chain, so that counterfeits will not harm our people.
While the Scan to Verify app is an upgrade of scratch and text for consumers, the Green Book contains all registered authentic products on NAFDAC's databases to edge out counterfeit drugs from circulation.
We have an app. The Green Book is an app. The Scan to Verify is an app. So now, the Scan to Verify has all the products that NAFDAC has registered and all other information that you want to get on such products is on that book. Then the Scan to Verify is an app on its own and is actually linked to the same Green Book. It's linked to it. So if you need more information from the Scan to Verify, you can actually get into the Green Book. But if you don't know much, you don't really need much, that Scan to Verify take care of it for you.
Fully developed in-house, NAFDAC says the apps are game changers as they enable users to verify and report fake products.
A product that has a NAFDAC number
We scan to verify. Either the healthcare practitioner, it could be the doctor, the pharmacist, the wholesaler, the retailer, even the consumer can scan the 2D data bar matrix. So once you scan it, it will show you whether the product is genuine or not.
We've enjoyed a lot of collaboration, gotten information that led to us mopping up fake products from the market in Gombe here. And this one now is like both the consumers have what it takes to even identify the fake products, and it go a long way in we getting useful information that will make us to stop the menace of fake drug circulation.
For the stakeholders, the development is seen as a watershed in food and drug administration in the country.
Let's shine our eyes to these people that are using these substandard drugs or maybe fake drugs or expired drugs, and make sure we identify and then complain appropriately.
With the Green Book and Scan to Verify apps in place, NAFDAC reiterates that it's confident that it has added formidable layers in its fight against counterfeit and substandard products in the country.
1.9 million children are said to benefit from the first round of National Immunization Plus Days in the Federal Capital Territory. The Mandate Secretary for Health, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Babagana Adam, made the remark at the flag-off ceremony of the exercise in Jiwa community in the FCT. He noted that vaccine-preventable diseases have been the leading cause of childhood morbidity, assuring residents that the Health Secretariat is exploring different ways to ensure no child is left behind in the vaccination exercise.
In line with the annual vaccination week, the FCT Health Service and Environment Secretariat, in partnership with strategic development partners, kicked off the first round of the National Immunization Plus Days in the FCT. The team, led by the Permanent Secretary Health Services and the representative of the WHO, make their first stop to the palace of the Sadikin Jiwa Idris Musa in Jiwa community. Welcoming the team, he assures them of the cooperation of the community.
We should never give Satan a chance to bring back the polio back to Nigeria. It is very important for you to allow your children to get their vaccines so that we get rid of the poliomyelitis in Nigeria. Inshallah, for you to know the important what God is and other tribes that are here, please kindly cooperate with our workers. And the workers, nobody should go and drop vaccines anywhere.
Outside the palace, a small crowd awaits the team, and the traditional ruler then gives the first immunization shot.
Okay, yeah, this is
Speaking after the flag-off, the FCT Health team says new strategies have been adopted to ensure every child is vaccinated.
We are calling on all religious leaders, community leaders, market leaders, parents, and all foster parents and caregivers should ensure that every child collects these 2 drops of oral polio vaccine. We have all arranged to re-strategize, plan, and ensure that all that we are doing in the past is changed for the new things.
Open the compound, because I know that has been the major challenge in FCT. Open your compound for your children to be vaccinated. And I'm hopeful that with this, we'll reach the target of universal immunization in Nigeria.
This vaccination exercise, which will be conducted across all 6 area councils of the FCT, hopes to build public confidence amongst parents and caregivers to ensure that no child dies from vaccine-preventable diseases. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, OPEC Plus approves another oil output hike for June. That's on Business News. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The United Nations Children's Fund, in partnership with the Yobe State government and traditional rulers, have embarked on a polio immunization exercise across the state. The aim is to ensure all the eligible children are immunized, especially in communities where the compliance level is really low due to certain beliefs. Most of the families who earlier rejected the vaccine have now allowed their children get the jab.
We're marking the end of the African Vaccination Week, which is commemorated by the Yobe State government. And secondly, we're also carrying out the polio immunization activity, the SIA. Here in this community, you have just seen that there were some non-compliances, which was resolved together with the traditional institutions. We're going around supervising the activity. Having come to this location, we've seen those that have readily accepted the vaccinations, and then we have seen one or two cases that have actually tried to reject, but on educating and sensitizing them more and dialoguing, they have accepted, and all of them. So as such, we don't have any case that has refused to collect the vaccine.
Same with health issues. The Benue State government is planning to commission 5 new projects, including the upgrading of its molecular laboratory for the testing and treatment of Lassa fever as well as other diseases. The Chief Medical Director of the Benue State University Teaching Hospital, Dr. Stephen Wande, disclosed this during a media tour of the Oncology Center.
This is the multi-purpose drug revolving pharmacy and the Center for Children Born with Special Needs, both situated in the Benue State University Teaching Hospital, Makurdi. According to the state government, work on the over 20 billion naira oncology center is also ongoing to cater for rising cases of renal failure, especially within the North Central region. These are some of the projects of the state government to address the state of infrastructure at the state's teaching hospital. This 1.6 billion naira water project is part of efforts by the state government to address the 13 years water deficiency in the institution. The project is expected to deliver 230,000 liters of water per day. The project is set for commissioning in 3 weeks as the contractor and hospital's management speak on Governor Ali's achievements.
This same governor is doing the cancer project. This same governor has brought the molecular lab. This governor has brought the Center for Therapeutic for Children with Special Needs. This same governor has brought in the pharmaco-surgical complex. This same governor is bringing in VIP.
From this point to the newly established molecular laboratory for the treatment of hepatitis and Lassa fever. The management hopes the upgrade of the facilities will reposition the institution for efficient service delivery.
We used to carry our samples to Abuja, Kaduna, to run viral loads, hepatitis B, hepatitis C. But now, when one day became the CMD, he opened this place, installed the PCR machines, where we now do viral loads. We do them here with ease.
The management also established the Sericom Center to get feedback from the end users of the facilities.
If you come to Bisut now, and you have genuine complaint as our patient, you write your card number, you write your complaint, you write where you are being seen and the complaint is there. Then we will go through and solve it. You will come back and countersign that has been done.
The state government is hoping that these interventions will improve the quality of service delivery at the hospital.
The Ministry of Regional Development has kicked off a 3-day retreat on institutional coordination for development. Speaking at the retreat in Lagos, the Minister of Regional Development, Mr. Abubakar Momo, called on regional development commissions to focus on people-oriented projects to help address regional disparities, promote economic growth, and improve the quality of life for the people.
It's the maiden sectoral retreat of the Ministry of Regional Development, put together in collaboration with the 6 development commissions in Nigeria, namely the Niger Delta Development Commission, Northeast Development Commission, Northwest Development Commission, North Central Development Commission, Southeast Development Commission, and the Southwest Development Commission. At the 3-day retreat holding in Lagos at the Minister of Regional Development, Abubakar Momo, the chairman and members of National Assembly Committees on Development Commissions, chairman and managing directors of the 6 development commissions, among others. The retreat, with the theme, Improving Institutional Coordination for Better Development Results, seeks to review and agree on developing a comprehensive framework for driving regional development within Nigeria's federal system.
A key expected outcome from this retreat is a framework for national coordination of regional development that will harmonize project planning, funding, implementation, and reporting across the commissions.
For the development commissions, the appropriateness of the retreat cannot be overemphasized, even as they pledge their commitment to implement the outcomes and development frameworks.
This will be an opportunity for us to have peer review and also to see how we can promote the activities of the ministry. The ministry plays that supervisory role, and that supervisory role which the ministry is playing is to ensure that we use development to express the thoughts of Mr. President on his renewed hope agenda.
We are not going to disappoint Mr. President, but we're going to work as a team from the Northeast to Southeast to Southwest. It is not intended to be divisional. It is intended to bring challenges to national development. It is intended to bring harmony between the zones, not only to be competing on unnecessary things, but towards national development and unity.
The keynote speaker, Dr. Sam Amadi, in his presentation entitled Ideas and Lessons for Driving Nigeria's Regional Development Commissions, highlights key demands in driving regional development in the country.
The ministry first work will be to engender a common vision of development and a coherent development agenda. A common vision does not mean that the ministry will have everything standardized. So, for example, we could focus more on poverty in one area, maybe one area focus on infrastructure because they don't have enough, but everything must be visioned in a manner that it's tight and coherent.
There are mechanisms already put in place from the structure of the ministry to monitor. That is essentially our mandate, to oversee activities of the commissions. That is principally our responsibility. And of course, there are mechanisms in place to execute and monitor such activities that we have just kicked off.
At the end of this 3-day retreat, the Ministry of Regional Development is expected to review the framework for driving regional development, harmonize regional progress, and make recommendations to enhance the delivery of development results in the geopolitical zones of the country.
The remains of elder statesman and leader of Afenifere, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, has been laid to rest at his residence in Odubolu local government area of Ogun State. The event held at St. Philip's Anglican Church, Ijebu-Ode, saw an outpouring of emotions as family, members, associates, political leaders, amongst others, bade him farewell. The governor, Dapo Abiodun, saluted his doggedness and stance for true federalism, describing him as a patriot and politician of repute.
It's a solemn yet joyful homegoing ceremony, befitting of a man of the standing of the late leader of the Pan-Yoruba socio-political group, Afenifere, who was called home at the ripe age of 96. His remains are solemnly wheeled into the St. Philip's Anglican Church, Isonya, in Ogbo, Ijebu, Ogun State, where they are received by the clergy alongside family members who are in tow. The event attracts the presence of former Nigerian President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, former Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Mr. Peter Obi, serving and former governors, family members, members of the defunct Nadeco Group, political associates, members of Afenifere, among other distinguished personalities, as they have all come to pay their last respects to a man fondly referred to as the last of the Titans.
His purposeful life also served.
Delivering his sermon, the Bishop of Remo Diocese commends the life of purpose of the former Afenifere leader as he calls out the nation's political class to do what is right for a better Nigeria.
Brothers and sisters, let us believe in Nigeria that Shifayu Adebayo labored and worked for until his death. Let us resolve to live a purposeful life, devoid of greed and corruption.
The governor of Ogun State, Mr. Dapo Abiodun, describes Pa Adebanjo as a moral compass in the nation's politics, considering his stance on true federalism, resource control, among other legacies.
Chief Adebanjo was a good man who did everything in his power to ensure the triumph of justice, fairness, and progress. As Nigeria continues towards its democratic consolidation and national restructuring, the life of Chief Adebanjo remains a timeless blueprint.
Family members, associates, and friends also share their thoughts about a man they describe as a symbol of courage and humility.
The definition of impact today is Ayo Adebanjo. We will miss him. Nigeria will miss him. All the groups in Nigeria that he belongs to will miss him. Even all demographies, young, old, rich, poor, we will all miss him.
He was a dedicated founding leader of the National Democratic Coalition Nadeco. He was an outstandingly reliable lawyer, bold and courageous elder statesman.
Pa Ayo Adebanjo was born on April the 10th, 1928, and passed away on February the 14th, 2025, at the age of 96. He was a key figure in Nigerian politics and a staunch advocate for justice.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. Time to find out what's happening in the world of business. Willie Bong has details. Thank you, Melinda. We begin with matters in the oil space. OPEC Plus has agreed to raise oil output by 411,000 barrels per day in June, marking a second straight month of accelerated hikes. The group said the decision follows healthy market fundamentals and low global inventories. This comes despite oil prices dropping below $60 per barrel in April and concerns over slowing demand. Analysts say the move backed by Saudi Arabia also aims to pressure countries like Iraq and Kazakhstan that haven't met their earlier output cut targets. Now, with this latest decision, OPEC Plus will have reversed 44% of the 2.2 million barrel per day cut agreed last year. The group plans a full ministerial meeting later this month to reassess the market outlook. Move to the FX space. Nigeria's FX reserves have recorded a rise after 6 consecutive weeks of decline. According to data from the central bank, gross reserves increased by $135.96 million to $37.93 billion. Analysts say that even though FX demand pressures have been moderated, risks to stability remained heightened due to persistent global uncertainties that could hinder global capital inflows. Now, outside our shores, American investor Warren Buffett has criticized the use of tariffs as a trade weapon, warning they could spark economic conflict. At Berkshire Hathaway's annual meeting, he called trade barriers an act of war and urged U.S. leaders not to weaponize trade for political gains. His comments come as the Trump administration pursues aggressive tariff policies, prompting retaliation from global partners and concerns over inflation, market volatility, and strained supply chains.
Buffett warned that such moves could damage America's global standing. Back home, the domestic equities market closed the week positive. The all-share index rose slightly by 0.27% to close at 106,042 points, with market capitalization gaining 0.28% to hit 66.65 trillion naira. Trading activity stayed strong with 2.2 billion shares traded, worth 75.41 billion naira across 70,329 deals. Sector performance was mixed. Consumer goods led with gainers with a 2.89% rise, while insurance and oil and gas dragged the market down, falling 2.89% and 2.9% each. Banking also dipped by 0.38%. Top gainers included Associated Bus Company, Legend Internet, and Fitson Healthcare. Meanwhile, EcoBank, Multiverse, and Livestock Feeds topped the losers list. The most traded stocks were Fidelity Bank, Access Holdings, and UBA. Now, the NASD OTC Securities Exchange closed the week in positive territory as the index rose by 0.63% to 3,289.66 points. Market cap stood at 1.93 trillion naira. Market activity slowed, with volume and value down at 14.51 million units and 105.98 billion naira each. However, deals increased to 130, showing improved investor participation. Top advances for the week were Friesland Campina, Wamco, Joe Fluids, and Food Concepts, reflecting investor interest in select consumer and industrial stocks, while decliners were led by Affluent Properties, Ipua, and Akan Petroleum. And as business news is back to Melinda for the rest of the news at 10.
Thanks, Will. Vice President Kashim Shettima has represented President Bola Tinubu at the inauguration of Brice Nguema as President of Gabon. The inauguration ceremony, which held in Libreville, Gabon, saw military parades march past and a display of the country's rich cultural heritage. The Vice President was joined on the short trip by the Chairman, House Committee on Police Affairs, Honorable Usman Bello Kumo, and the Special Advisor to the President on General Duties, Office of the Vice President, Dr. Aliu Modibo. In his inauguration speech, President Nguema thanked the Gabonese citizens for their overwhelming support for him, leading to his emergence as a democratically elected president. He pledged to work hard for the development of the country as well as empower the youth in order to secure the future of Gabon. Time to find out what's happening in the world of sports. Olumide Macaulay has details.
Thank you, Melinda. The administrator of Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, has reaffirmed the state's commitment to excellence at the National Sports Festival, scheduled to hold this month in Ogun State. The administrator made this declaration while receiving the Torch of Unity from the National Sports Commission delegation at the Government House in Port Harcourt. He also charged Rivers State athletes to compete with discipline, determination, and sportsmanship, assuring them of due recognition and reward for outstanding performances. The Torch of Unity proceeds to Bayelsa State on Monday.
This symbolic torch, a beacon of peace, unity, and solidarity, reflects not only our shared aspirations as a nation, but also our enduring commitment to a collective identity fortified through sports. To our gallant athletes, I urge you to give your very best in the competition, compete with discipline, determination, and the true spirit of sportsmanship. You carry the hopes of our people and the pride of Rivers State on your shoulders.
Now to football, the English Premier League. Arsenal's hopes of building momentum before their crucial Champions League tie with PSG in midweek have been hit as Bournemouth came from behind to win at the Emirates Stadium and boost their own European ambitions. Aston Villa climbed back into the race to qualify for the Champions League as they sealed a crucial 1-0 win against Fulham at Villa Park. Relegated Ipswich fought back from 2 goals down to draw 2-2 in Everton's penultimate match at Goodson Park. Southampton wasted a chance to avoid a share of the lowest points total in history as Jamie Vardy's 199th Leicester City goal inspired a 2-0 win at the King Power Stadium. Meanwhile, Brighton boss Fabian Hosella has told players to embrace the challenge as they push for European football next season. The Seagulls had gone 5 Premier League games without a win, but he's confident his team will stick to their guns to achieve their target. Brighton's next move is a home clash with Champions League chasing Newcastle United at the American Express Stadium on Sunday.
The group is full of positivity, the group is full of energy, and that's like very important to have these attributes now in your team, especially for the last part of the season. And the main focus we said now is honestly just the next game, and there's our main focus. We try to prepare the best way we can do it for Newcastle. We know it's another big challenge for us, but we are looking forward to it, and I'm sure after this trainings week we are ready for it.
Staying with football, West Ham United head coach Graham Potter has told his players the time has come to do their talking on the pitch. He raised eyebrows with his reaction to last Saturday's defeat at Brighton, while the previous weekend forward Nicholas Fulker criticized his teammates after they let in a late equalizer against relegated Southampton. Ahead of Sunday's home derby with Tottenham, the 49-year-old defended his emotional outburst, while also admitting trying to turn around West Ham United's dismal season has proved challenging. And that's where we leave it on Sports News. Melinda, back to you.
Many thanks, Olumide. On the international scene, Labour's Anthony Albanese has been re-elected as Australia's Prime Minister in a landslide victory. Official vote counting won't end for a couple of days, but his centre-left government will dramatically increase its majority after the Conservative Liberal National Coalition suffered a thumping defeat nationwide. Mr. Albanese, who defied the so-called incumbency curse, hailed the people for voting Australian values, which are fairness, aspiration and opportunity for all. However, coalition leader Mr. Peter Dutton, who lost his own seat of 24 years, has accepted full responsibility for his party's loss and apologized to the MPs. A United Nations judge has been jailed for 6 years and 4 months for forcing a woman to work as a domestic slave. 50-year-old Lydia Mugwambe was studying for a PhD in law at the University of Oxford when police discovered she had a young Ugandan woman at her home carrying out unpaid work as a maid and nanny. The High Court judge was jailed at Oxford Crown Court after she was found guilty of modern-day slavery offences. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to reclaiming ungovernable areas, especially forests in the northwest and across the country. The president made a pledge at Castina Government House at a dinner put together by the state government to round off his working visit. The Nigerian Bar Association Women's Forum has sought the elevation of more female lawyers into the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. The chairperson of the association made a call in Abuja at the annual conference of female lawyers. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami on behalf of the team. Good night.